Her text arrived at 10:47 p.m., one sharp line that sliced straight through the stillness of my apartment. If you don't like how I live, leave. No explanation attached. No pause. Just an order disguised as liberation. I stared at the message, feeling that familiar, muted strain spreading across my chest, the kind that never burst, only tightened each time she said something she could never rewind. Her typing bubble flickered into view, disappeared, returned. Then another notification appeared. Don't wait up. Going out with my work husband. Work husband. A title she joked about. A man who made her smile in a way she never saved for me, too warm, too easy. I didn't reply. At that point, silence was the only honest language left between us. The apartment felt colder than usual, vacant, polished, like a space someone had already mentally moved out of. I sat at the edge of the bed, listening to the soft hum of the ceiling fan, the steady tick of the clock, the echoes of nights she returned late, carrying the scent of a life I wasn't part of anymore. Outside, the city kept breathing. Inside, something in me quietly stopped. Not with drama, not with rage, just a small internal click, like a lock sliding into place. I stood, and without deciding to, without rehearsing a speech or sinking into anger, I began to pack. This moment hadn't begun tonight. It had been building for months. Always through small things. She used to meet my gaze when she spoke, warm, focused, present. Then her eyes started drifting elsewhere, to her screen, to messages from a world I no longer belonged to. She began dressing differently for work. New perfume. New outfits. New last-minute meetings that multiplied like clockwork. Even her laugh changed. It lightened around him. It strained around me. She talked about him the way people talk about someone they admire, someone they crave, someone they're already halfway tangled with long before admitting it. When I questioned her, she never lied, she simply dismissed. You're being insecure. You're imagining it. He's a friend. Relax. You're making it bigger than it is. And I accepted it, or tried to, because believing her felt easier than facing what was real. But the space between us grew into a quiet canyon, and she kept drifting toward him, unaware she'd left me at the other side. I stayed, not out of weakness, but because I wanted to understand how someone disappears so slowly you barely notice until they're laughing at someone else's jokes and calling you dramatic for seeing it. Tonight wasn't special. It wasn't unique. It was simply the first time she spoke the truth aloud. If you don't like it, leave. She meant it as dominance, as a warning, as dismissal. To me, it was clarity, clean, brutal clarity that finally set someone free. I packed gently, methodically. Clothes folded, never thrown. Drawers emptied without chaos. Memories handled like case files I no longer needed to argue. Each item sinking into a suitcase felt like another truth I'd ignored for too long. The ring box. Anniversary notes. Photos where we grinned like strangers pretending to be soulmates. I didn't burn anything. I didn't break anything. I didn't storm out. There was nothing left worth fighting for. The wedding picture was last. In it, she leaned into me, but the version of her in that frame already seemed to be leaning away. I studied it, seeing details I'd missed, the distance in her eyes, the stiff smile, the way I looked at her like she was the only solid ground I had. I set the picture face down, not in anger, but in acceptance. She had been walking away for a long time. I had just finally caught up to it. The clock read 2:56 a.m., her usual return time. Always around 3. Always tired. Always loud. Always careless. I zipped the final suitcase, stood in the silent living room, and felt the emptiness settle. My pulse didn't quicken. My hands didn't tremble. Inside, everything felt measured, cold, still. It was the peace that arrives when you finally stop pretending. When headlights swept across the curtains and her keys scraped the lock, the apartment was no longer ours. It was just a hollow room waiting to be discovered. The door swung open with her familiar careless shove. She stumbled inside, laughing at something someone had said hours earlier, some echo from a night she wished meant more than her marriage. "Babe," she called, kicking off her heels, "I'm home. You awake?" Her tone softened as she anticipated the argument she thrived on. Those fights made her feel powerful. But the silence greeted her first. Then the emptiness. She walked to the bedroom and froze. Closet doors open. Shelves cleared. My side of the dresser stripped bare, like I'd never lived there at all. "What?" she breathed, her voice splintering. I stood in the doorway, unnoticed for a few seconds. She finally spotted the note on the nightstand, a single sheet in my handwriting. "You're right. I don't like how you live, so I left." "No, no, no. What is this?" she whispered, her breath stuttering. Her hands shook. Then she saw me behind her reflection in the mirror, mascara smudged, smile erased, panic crawling up her throat. "You're leaving over this?" "I was just out, just having fun." "You're exaggerating." Her voice fractured into pieces. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. She felt the shift. The finality. The control she relied on evaporating. She sank onto the edge of the bed, staring at the note like it was a sentence passed down. For once, she couldn't talk her way out. For once, consequences arrived. Her eyes welled, but no tears fell yet. Shock always arrives before the crying. "You can't just leave," she whispered. But I could. And I already had. "I'm done fighting for someone who won't fight for me," I said quietly. Her breathing stuttered. "No, wait. Just talk to me." I didn't mean what I said. I was angry. "You twist everything." "I'm not twisting anything," I said softly. "For the first time, I'm taking your words exactly as you said them." Her face drained of color, realization sinking in that her own dismissal had built this ending long before I ever lifted a suitcase. "You're choosing this?" she asked, voice trembling. "I'm choosing peace." She reached for me, hand hovering in the air before falling when she understood I wasn't moving toward her. For years she'd shown me how love dies. Tonight I finally learned how silence survives. Her voice cracked. "I can change. Just tell me what you want." I shook my head. "I want someone who doesn't call another man her work husband. Someone who doesn't dare me to leave because she thinks I never will. Someone who doesn't treat my loyalty like it's a chain." Her eyes brimmed. Tears she had always withheld, not from love, but from losing control. I walked toward the door. She whispered, "Please don't go." But the apartment was already too empty, and so was I. The hallway outside felt colder, but lighter. My suitcases rolled behind me like shadows finally detaching. I didn't glance back, not because it hurt, but because there was nothing left worth seeing. Some betrayals make noise. Hers was quiet, a slow erosion disguised as independence, wrapped in laughter she never saved for me. She pushed. I stepped aside. That was all. As I neared the elevator, her muffled sobs seeped through the closed door, raw, frantic, far too late. A sound I once felt obligated to soothe. Not anymore. Some endings don't need closure. Some truths only need to be spoken once. When the elevator doors opened, I released a breath, not a sigh, a letting go. By the time they shut again, I felt it, the last thread snapping.